Get comfortable with the idea of making money. Fail quickly, fail cheaply. So fantastic. So let me just find out who's here today. Can you just put your hand in the air if you already have a business of your own as a vegan? Only 2. Well, this is going to be an interesting session. Can you put your hand in the air if you're kind of thinking you might have a business soon? A smattering more. I kind of ask what the rest of you are doing here then. But thank you so much. So today is going to be quite an interesting presentation. So my name is David Pannell from Vegan Business Tribe. So what's Vegan Business Tribe, first of all? Well, this is us. Vegan Business Tribe is a support community for hundreds of vegans in business around the world. We've been running for about 4.5 years now. We've got hundreds of hours of masterclasses and seminars in our Vegan Business Academy. We do online events and networking. We do in-person events, such as Vegan Business Tribe Live that we did down at the London Olympia for 2 days last year as well. We've got online courses, plus the most amazing community of vegan business owners that you will ever meet. And there's just a handful of them on that slide there. So that's who Vegan Business Tribe is. If you want to just get a sample of what we do, I'd advocate taking a look at the Vegan Business Tribe podcast. We've got about 125 episodes, I think, now. That covers every aspect you can imagine of running and growing a vegan business. So if you're interested in this scene, in this sector, do take a look at that. That's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your pods. So that's who Vegan Business Tribe is. Who am I? Why am I here? Well, this is me and my lovely wife, Lisa, who founded Vegan Business Tribe. But before that, we ran our own marketing and business growth agency for about 15 years. It was a moderately successful agency. We grew it to about 13, 14 staff at its height. But our journey into the vegan sector, it mirrors a lot of our Vegan Business Tribe members' journey as well. Because when you first turn vegan, what's the first thing you do? Food. You change what you eat. You change your diet. But the longer you are vegan, and especially as a new vegan, you learn new stuff every day. And so you start to look at the clothes you wear, the cosmetics, what you're putting in your body, where you're shopping, and things like that too. And at some point, you get to that question of what am I doing with my time? And now, this is what myself and my wife Lisa got to. As very new, passionate vegans, we said, well, we've got these skill sets. We're out there helping non-vegan businesses grow. Let's just take our same skills as marketing and business consultants, and let's go help those vegan businesses grow. Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah? Well, let me tell you something that we found out almost straight away. Vegan businesses have no money. So we were there, going out on consultant rates, finding some amazing vegan businesses. Very few of them were returning our phone calls and emails. So what we actually did was, for the first couple of years that I worked in the vegan sector, we actually went and worked with the companies that did have money. So we worked with quite a few high street brands, restaurant chains, global manufacturers, to educate them on vegan products and the vegan marketplace and vegan consumer buying behavior. But there's only so many meetings you can have with non-vegan food companies especially, where somebody says to you, well, I don't eat much meat, and well, it's still important to have a balanced diet. You kind of have to sit on your hands as a consultant a little bit. So we wanted to work with vegans, so we kept coming back to this idea of how do we help vegan businesses. And if we couldn't do it in a one-to-one session, because again, vegan businesses have no money, then could we do it in a collective way instead? And so that's how we started Vegan Business Tribe. Now, why am I here today at this wonderful, amazing conference? Well, business, and I truly believe this, business can be one of the most effective and efficient forms of activism there is. Now, you might fight me on this, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when do a lot of people do activism, unless you are employed in the sector and in the movement? You do it on the evenings, you do it in weekends, you might have booked time off work to come to this conference. But when your business is your activism, you're doing it full time. And that's the goal of many vegan businesses, to bring together their ethics and activism with how you actually make a living. And that's why it is one of the most effective and efficient forms of activism out there, I believe. So let me show you what actually happens when those two things come together. So, does anybody here recognise this gentleman? Put your hands up if you do. Oh, Mr. Glover, yes, absolutely. So, this is Matthew Glover. So, he's from the UK. You may or may not recognise him, but Matthew is the founder of the Veganuary movement, which he started with his wife. He set up Veg Capital, which funds many vegan businesses. He set up VFC, Vegan Fried Chicken, and he's just set up the vegan food group that he hopes to be the vegan Unilever. Now, we look at something like this, and we say, wow, look at all this amazing work he's done. Look at all these great companies that he's founded. But did you know he also founded these companies as well? Wow, the Conservatory Outlet. Now, that's because Matthew actually built up other businesses first before he started Veganuary and everything else that he did as well. He was in a completely different industry before he was vegan. He was a businessman, and sales and marketing were the things that he did best. So he said, well, similar to myself, if that's my skill set, how can I use those skills for the vegan movement? And without him doing that, we wouldn't have things like Veganuary going on. So I'd ask you, what is your career capital? What skills do you already have that can be used by the animal rights and the vegan movement? So if you're a web developer, for instance, there's lots of opportunities to use that skill set within the vegan sector. But if you are a web developer, why would you think about starting up a business that's doing food, maybe? And that's one big thing that we come up against. People think that if you've got a vegan business, that means you have to make food. So one of the things I want you to go away with today is understanding the width and the breadth of the vegan business scene. So let me just show you some very quick examples here. So going from the top and going across, the first one there, that's Tina Newnham. So she is a children's author who authored Viva the Super Vegan children's book series. We've got Vegan Adventure Holidays, Emma Fry on a motorbike next to us. She takes people around the world on vegan holidays. We've got vegan videographers, so that's Damien Shabira, so I'm going to come back to later as a bit of a case study. We've got vegan interior designers, that's Jack Stone from Personal Abode in the top right there. We've got vegan fashion and cosmetics, that's Jay Barge and his wife. We've got vegan songwriters, such as Ian Hayward from Be Friendly. We've got vegan artists. Now, Beth here, she's actually known as the vegan taxidermist. Don't worry, no animals are harmed. She makes visual installations out of vegan-friendly materials, but she calls herself a vegan taxidermist to start lots of conversations with non-vegans. So, you know, that is an example of a vegan business. And then even this last chap that we've got here, he's a vegan accountant. Not only is he a vegan accountant, he owns a company called Vegan Accountants, and they employ about 6 all-vegan accountants within that business as well. So, if you think in having a vegan business, you've got to make food, I'm here to tell you today that that isn't the case. This is the width and the breadth of the vegan business movement right now. So, a lot of vegans, they start a business to make a positive impact and move a vegan and animal rights cause forwards. And some vegans, they want to actually work for a vegan business. You know, they'd like to go and join a vegan organization, but that's not open to everybody, so they tend to start their own. And some vegans, they might want to buy a product or a service that they can't find, so again, they go and start their own business as well. Unfortunately, however, vegans start a business to make an impact, but sadly, many simply don't. And that's something we're going to look at today about why that happens. Because a lot of vegan businesses, they don't actually make the impact that they set out to make. And that makes me sad. And that makes them sad. And it makes all of us here today really frustrated sometimes when you see an amazing vegan business, they're doing great work, and they just don't survive long term. They don't scale to the point where they're actually making a tangible impact for animal rights. And so why does that happen? Why do they do this? Well, we've been doing a lot of work at Vegan Business Tribe on kind of working through the problem tree of this. So if we look at our problem tree here, and don't worry, I'm not going to make you read all of this. Some of the same reasons some of the reasons that vegan businesses fail, they are the same as why any business fails. But there are also some very unique problems as well in the vegan business sector. And what I want to do over the next couple of slides is just look at some of those unique problems of why vegan businesses fail to scale and fail to make impact. So, starting out here, fear of profit-driven strategies. Remember what I said at the start. Vegan businesses have no money, okay? And that's an issue if you're trying to grow a business. You need money. But a lot of vegans, they're quite uncomfortable with that idea of making money. They feel it's a little bit icky. They don't want to make money out of the vegan sector, perhaps. They feel it's a little bit unethical. And that's a bit of a problem that we need to help overcome. The second outcome of this fear of profit-driven strategies is that they tend to sell their products with little or any profit margin. They just give it away for free sometimes as well. And if you currently run a vegan business, you might see this for yourself. You think, well, this is a great cause. I'm not going to charge what I should be charging. I'm going to give it away. That's not a way to grow a business too. Businesses don't generate enough money to scale. And this is important because as a business owner, you have to give yourself a sustainable level of living. If you don't, if you can only earn the money you need to earn by working 80-hour-plus weeks, and that's something I've done many times in my career, at some point you're going to burn out. And if you burn out, then we lose you. You definitely won't be making the impact that you set out to make. And it just means that the businesses fail to grow. So vegans have to get comfortable with this idea of making money because you can do far more good in the world when you're making a profit than you will ever do if you're making a loss. Okay, so the next problem we hit is lack of business support that understands the vegan mission. And now this is really important because there are lots of things that we all need, there are lots of places that we all need to defend ourselves as vegan. Business support shouldn't be one of them. You can't have a business advisor who's actively telling you to drop the vegan side of your business because there are other ways to make money. And this happens. We get a lot of people coming to Vegan Business Tribe because they've had non-vegan business advisors, and that business advisor has simply said, stop doing the vegan stuff. You'll never make any money. There's not a big enough marketplace. That's something that you can't have, but it really stops a lot of vegan businesses growing. A lot of business advisors will say that the marketplace just isn't big enough for a vegan business. They'll say that you lose customers as a vegan business. So all these things are happening, and that's a big problem to the sector as well. Most support that is aimed at vegan businesses is aimed at food companies. And that's great, that's fine. But it's very specific, it's the food industry, and also you find a lot of founders of vegan food products, they're not actually vegan themselves. If you go to a lot of vegan, or what I call plant-based food conferences, you will be in the minority there as a vegan. So these people, they don't have that same motivation to move the cause forwards that we do as vegans in business. Third problem we have, lack of business knowledge results in poor decision making, and we see this time and time again. For example, testing. Is that the next point? Yes, lack of testing, fantastic. So people say in business that money is the most valuable resource. It's not, it's absolutely not. It's time and energy. And your primary role, if you have a vegan business, is to prove or disprove your idea as fast as you can before you run out and use up all that time and energy. If you don't have that kind of approach to business, you don't have that business knowledge, your company's going to likely not scale up. Lack of business knowledge as well, it results into many companies launching into an already saturated market. So for example, at Vegan Business Tribe, we've had several members come through who are all independently trying to build a vegan social media site. There's so many people doing it. It's such a hard thing to get off the ground, but because they haven't got that business experience and knowledge of how to test, they throw all their resources into doing it, and it just never becomes a reality as well. And then finally, if you don't have a business knowledge, we've mentioned it already, you will burn out. And if you burn out, that's when you run out of your motivation and your energy, and your business closed down. Now, what happens when a vegan business closes down? Well, obviously, the reason it closed down was because it was vegan. Yep. Have we all seen this in the media before? The media really do present this false narrative, and this just further damages the reputation of the vegan movement. And both these companies here, did close down. They went into administration last year. Within 2 weeks, both were open again and back on the supermarket shelves. That second half wasn't particularly reported in the mainstream media. But the narrative is that if a vegan business closed down, it's because it was vegan. And veganism is a passing fad, veganism is over. But when you look at food, everyone's struggling at the moment. All food companies are struggling at the moment because of the cost of living crisis. But there's a different narrative when a non-vegan food business has closed down. And I love McDonald's at the top here. So McDonald's sales have been falling. But no one said it's not because they weren't vegan. It's just, that's fine, McDonald's are falling. Okay, so the final problem I want to very quickly look at before going into some other tips as well is a lot of vegan businesses and a lot of vegans in business, vegan professionals, they don't know how to make activism compatible with their business. And at Vegan Business Tribe, I actually tend to avoid using that word activism. We actually say companies that help move the vegan cause forwards, because as soon as you start talking about activism, people think that means marching on the streets and doing things that might alienate your customer base, or it might be something that if you've got shareholders, they don't like the idea of you becoming an activism business. And a lot of people think that activism means direct action and disruption, and I should have brought these up while I was saying it all. They're afraid of alienating non-vegan clients or staff. But the reality is that the opposite is true. We found our Vegan Business Tribe members, when they actually embrace being a vegan business and they're vegan publicly, their non-vegan clients actually like that. They like using a supplier who is ethical and environmentally conscious. So that happens a lot there too. Okay. So they're the problems that we have. And this results in fewer vegan business role models, which is a real problem as well, and less corporate engagement. Now, companies back so many causes that they're not directly related to, but not many companies actually back veganism and animal rights. Let me show you some examples from other cause sections as well. So this is an example. This is a group called Start Out, and they support LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs. Now look at the people who back this organization. You've got Amazon, you've got Coke, you've got Google. They've raised over $1 billion to support LGBTQ entrepreneurs, which is absolutely fantastic. And we can learn a lot from this. We can learn a lot from how gay rights has become a popular campaign for corporations to back. Because when you look at the percentage of a population who are gay, depending what country you're in, that's 3 to 5%. Now, does that 3 to 5% of a population sound familiar? Because that's the amount of population which are vegan too. But look at the corporate support for gay rights compared to the corporate support for animal rights. So this is something that we can learn a lot from as well. And all of the cause areas have organisations which support entrepreneurship as a way to move that cause forwards. Faith-driven entrepreneurship, especially, the Christians are really good at getting that money coming back into that arena. Black and ethnicity entrepreneurship, ex-prisoner, ex-military, things like that. So at Vegan Business Tribe, this is what we're looking to build, but for veganism and the animal rights movement as well. Right, so big question now. How can you use a business as activism? Let me show you. So these are some case studies of some of our Vegan Business Tribe members who I use as exemplar vegan businesses. And I'm going to start with this chap here. Now, some of you may know Kevin. Just put your hand in the air. I know there's one or two here who maybe know Kevin. So Kevin Newell, he runs a company called Humane Wildlife Solutions. Now, he offers a non-lethal vegan alternative to pest control. So the majority of his customers are not actually vegan. They just don't like the idea of someone coming in and killing animals in their house. Yeah, I'm not going to comment any further on that one. But we see that with a lot of vegan businesses, that their main client base isn't actually vegan. And Kevin does a lot of educational work about living alongside wildlife, for instance, as well. But he also used his company to run seabird trials, so seagull trials in the Scottish Highlands. And he actually got the law changed. So now, if you're in the Scottish Highlands, previously, if there was a seagull overpopulation, you had to destroy those birds. Kevin proved with his business that you could just as well relocate those birds, and actually that worked better for controlling the population as well. So he actually got the law changed in Scotland with his business. Absolutely amazing work. I love Kevin so much. Kelly Vowles, Pixel Rose hair design. She's a hairdresser. And you might think, well, what kind of impact can a vegan hairdresser have? Well, Kelly, she opened a vegan hair salon in Swindon in the UK, and even her mother said it would not work because there weren't enough vegans where she lived. But again, most of her customers, they are not vegan. That's only part of the impact that she has. What Kelly does, and you can all do this as well, this is really interesting. So she subscribes to journalist request groups, some of them on Facebook, some that you pay for, some that come through email as well. And what these journalist request groups do is they put out their requests when a journalist is looking for somebody with specific knowledge or has got experience of a specific cause. So she keeps an eye out for any journalist that's asking for people to talk about veganism. But because she is a vegan business owner and because she's got a little bit of personality in her area, she gets picked to talk more than most people as well. So she gets asked to give an interview, and she makes sure in that interview that she is really pushing the vegan agenda and giving that pro-vegan view. And she builds a business hand in hand with her activism. As her profile grows, her business attracts more non-vegan customers, and we've got this real great kind of virtuous circle going on. So this is actually Kelly here. One of her appearances last year was on national TV breakfast in the UK, and they declared the death of veganism after Meatless Farms closed down. Kelly went on the programme, and she was absolutely glorious, because she also happens to be a boxer and a powerlifter as well. So when we had this non-vegan nutritionist saying that you couldn't get all the nutrients you need on a vegan diet, she kind of just pointed at herself and said, well, I exist, and it was absolutely wonderful. So she's having great impact there as a vegan business owner. Matthew O'Hara, now he's a financial advisor, and I mentioned earlier, one of the lovely things that I like about the vegan business sector is we have vegan professionals, and a lot of people don't see these. It's like a hidden sector. But Matthew O'Hara, he actually works for a large non-vegan financial advice company, but he's used his profile as the vegan in the business to engage that corporation from within. So he brought in and he petitioned to get the Veganuary Workplace Challenge set up in his business. He became the main point of contact. He went from department to do presentations. If people wanted to take that challenge on, they could talk to him about what to eat for the month and things like that as well. So he really championed that within the business. What that started to do was create more vegans in this very large business of hundreds and hundreds of employees. And now, because they've got this growing vegan population within that business, they're all now engaging the company directors and petitioning what that company's doing and the direction they're heading. And especially with them being financial advice, especially putting pressure on them not to recommend the investments that back animal agriculture as well. So again, one person in a very large corporate non-vegan business making a really massive impact. Chloe Bullock, Materialise Interiors. Vegan interior design. Who thought there was such a thing as that, hey? Now, do you know what I learned from Chloe? Most toilet paper isn't vegan. Did everybody know that? They use animal fat to actually glue the sheets together. So, yeah, you keep learning, don't you? So Chloe is a vegan interior designer. She was also named as Peter's Ethical Designer of the Year as well. And again, almost all of her clients aren't vegan. She works with domestic, she works with commercial, but she was actually approached by the Royal Society of British Architects to become the author of their official guidebook to sustainable interior design, which she's posing with there. Now, that's amazing because she's educating a whole generation of architects and designers on using alternatives to animal products in their work. Keith Lesser, mentioned him earlier, vegan accountants. Now, Keith, he actually was running his family's traditional accountancy practice called Lesser & Co. in London. And when he turned vegan, he launched Vegan Accountants as a new division within that existing business. And he now employs a team of accountants who are vegan personally. Now, you might say, well, that's great. Maybe they'll help some vegan businesses out. But he does a lot more than that. So he uses the revenue that he makes from running this vegan accountancy practice. He uses that revenue to support many vegan events. He sponsors the vegan London night markets in the UK. He offers some pro bono services to charities and animal rights and sanctuaries and things like that as well. So again, he's using his business as his form of activism, but a lot of it is really unseen as well. And then finally, one last person I just want to mention is my friend here, Damien Shabiris from Short Stop Video. Now, Damien is a videographer and video editor, and he was mainly actually making corporate videos when he got diagnosed with stage 3 bowel cancer. Now, you'll know that when you get to stage 3, there's a good chance that you're not going to survive that. So he decided that if he did survive, he was going to use the skills that he already had in making videos and telling stories to promote veganism. And so what he did, thankfully he did survive, was he started out by just making a short film about the owner of his local animal sanctuary. From that, he came and joined us at Vegan Business Tribe, and we managed to get him an introduction to vegan influencer Joey Carbstrong. Some of you may follow Joey as well. And from that, he then got an introduction to Earthling Ed Winters, and now this is his full-time job. He's Earthling Ed Winters' full-time video editor. That just took a couple of years from him deciding that he was going to use his skill sets to help move a vegan cause forwards to now actually making a living out of the sector. And his film, Saved by Jane, that was listed in many film festivals. It won many awards as well. And he's currently filming a documentary on 85-year-old vegan ultra runner Paul Youd. If many of you have seen what Paul's doing, 85, running almost every single day. Okay, so to bring us into the final part of this this wonderful time that we're spending together. How do you do this yourself? And at the start, a few people did put their hand up saying, I was maybe thinking about starting a business. So how do you align your activism with how you make a living? So my top 5 takeaway tips for this, if you want to do it yourself. First, get comfortable with the idea of making money. Vegan businesses have no money. We need to stop that. We need 100% to get away with that. As I said at the start, you can do far more good in the world with a profit than you will ever do with a loss. Your business, it needs to be financially sustainable, or you're just going to burn out. You're not going to be able to scale up. You're not going to make profit. You're not going to make the impact which you could be making. And if you burn out, we lose you. We lose you from the sector. You won't make that impact that you started out to make. Number 2, prove or disprove your idea. Don't get stuck in the middle. I mentioned this at the start. People say that money is the most valuable resource in business. It's not. It is time and it is energy. Do not spend 4 years of your life on a project that was always going to be a dead end. What a waste of your time. Fail quickly, fail cheaply. Because before you build a website or you design a logo or even get your business cards printed, see if you can get a customer first. If you can't get a customer, there's no point doing all the rest of it, okay? And the problem is we're surrounded by people who love us and want to support us. So when you come up with a new product or a new business idea, they tell you it's amazing and it's great and it's going to be absolutely wonderful. Let's find out what strangers think first. Can you move money out of a stranger's bank account to your business bank account? If you can, you've got a business. If you can't, rethink, test, do something else. Then, the next step here, oh gosh, controversial, don't sell to vegans. Now, remember what we said? 3 to 6% of the population, depending what country you're in, identify as vegan. However, over 90% of vegan products and services are purchased by non-vegans. That's the Vegan Society statistic. Wow, okay. So that is the biggest marketplace. 70% of the population now regularly buy vegan alternatives in their weekly supermarket shop. So even if you're a service industry, companies like vegan suppliers Because a lot of people think if you say you're a vegan business, that means that you're ethical and environmentally conscious. And everybody wants an ethically and environmentally conscious supplier. So that's not an issue at all for most people. And I always say that if you've got a vegan business and you only sell to vegans, you've kind of missed the point of having a vegan business in the first place. You know, we want to engage those pre-vegans, as a lot of our Vegan Business Tribe members call them. Okay, and the last, nearly last tip, be happy to build your business in public. This is really important. When you're doing something that you're not confident about doing and you're not sure about doing, you will put so many barriers in the way of doing that thing. So as soon as you can, just start. If you've got an idea for a business, just start recording yourself talking about it. Put it on your social media, even if you've only got 50 friends, and just start to make that real, start to build an audience, start to get some feedback as well. People love business as entertainment. I've just started doing video diaries of what we're doing with Vegan Business Tribe at the moment. They're some of our most watched content. People like that behind-the-scenes stuff, so just start doing it now. If you've got an idea for a business, start recording, start talking about it. People love that story. And those people who follow your story right from the start, they're going to become your biggest champions. So in a year's time, when your business is unrecognizable and doing something else because you've learned so much stuff over that year, the people who follow you from day one, they'll be your most loyal customers, or they'll be out there finding you customers on your behalf. And then the last tip, get support. This is so important. If you want to get better at playing tennis, what would you do? You go get a tennis coach. It's the same with business. If you're going to build a business, go out there and engage with people who have already done it before you. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. Any problem that you come up against in business, I guarantee you there are thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of people who have already come up against that problem and solved it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every time yourself. There are also hundreds of other, if not thousands of other vegan business owners around the world. We've got a couple of hundred who are members here at Vegan Business Tribe as well. And when you surround yourself with other people who are on the same journey as you are, thank you, timekeeper, just letting you know I've seen you. Thank you. When you surround yourself with other people who are on the same journey as you are, it makes it so much easier. It normalizes the idea of building businesses and growing businesses and having success in business and making an impact with businesses as well. So don't feel that you're facing this on your own. Go out there and find support. Okay, so because I've been given the heads up by the timekeeper, who must be obeyed, on to the last slide that we've got here. If you do have any interest in the vegan business sector, come and sign up with us at Vegan Business Tribe. At least to sign up to our mailing list. We send out at least one email a week with lots of ideas. We produce new content every single week that goes out there. We've got hundreds of hours of workshops, articles, interviews, online courses, and everything else that we do. We run online networking meetups so you can meet other people who are also growing vegan businesses. We run business clinics. We do one-to-one coaching. If you're not ready to get involved with the community yet, go buy the book, Vegan Business Revolution. That's got 35 interviews that we did in collaboration with Vegan Food and Living magazine, or just go listen to the Vegan Business Tribe podcast as well. More information on what we do, veganbusinesstribe.com. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for David?
And be gentle with me. I only had 4 hours sleep last night, so yeah. Don't ask me any tricky ones, no curveballs.
Hello, thank you for your interesting topic. I have maybe a weird question.
What did I just say?
So, have you thought about including animal sanctuary inside the Vegan Business Tribe? And I will explain why. A vegan sanctuary is a business in loss because you have to run an animal sanctuary exactly as a business. You have to get money in, but you don't, you lose money because basically you have to pay for food, medication, and stuff like this. So it's just a suggestion, if come in Andy. It would be interesting to have the support of a vegan business mentor in this kind of project, because some vegan, I used to own my own bakery back in Rome, and it was important to have support from other, restaurant and bakery, vegan bakery. But as Animal Sanctuary, it's very difficult to find somebody that can mentor you or how to win while you lose at the same time. So it would be interesting to know if you think about, this kind of approach in the future, maybe. Thank you.
Yes, and we don't need to think about it in the future. We have animal sanctuary owners as part of Vegan Business Tribe. So we actually, at our Vegan Business Tribe live event, we had a panel of sanctuary owners to talk about the realities of it and exactly all those things that you spoke about. The burnout rate amongst sanctuary owners is absolutely massive. But a lot of the issue that sanctuary owners face is that they're kind of owner-operators. They're doing everything themselves. They're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do the first feed of the day. They're not going to bed till 11. If they've got baby animals coming through, they're up in the middle of the night and everything else. And then they've got to fundraise, and then they've got to do everything else. They've got to raise publicity. We have sanctuary owners who run their sanctuaries as a business. We've got one in Wales, a wildlife sanctuary. They've got a shop. And that shop sells merchandise on a high street, and all that money goes to paying for the work towards the animals. We've got other people who do online businesses as a way of raising sanctuaries. We've had people join Vegan Business Tribe who have started businesses purely to take the profits they're making from that business to fund a separate animal sanctuary as well. One thing we're hoping to do next year, and we might actually crowdfund this, is because we know so many animal sanctuary owners and we know what they go through. What I would love to be able to fund next year is getting one of our many vegan marketeers and copywriters that we've got in Vegan Business Tribe and getting them to go interview all these animal sanctuary owners and say, just give me your tips, and then put that together in a guide that we can then give to animal sanctuaries as part of what we do at Vegan Business Tribe. So yes, massively important. I've got such a respect for people who are right at the hard edge of veganism, who are actually looking after the animals and seeing them to the end of their lives sometimes. So yeah, absolutely brilliant point.
Thank you.
Hi, great presentation, by the way. Incredible speaking.
Oh, you're so nice.
Just stating facts. I used to be a photographer and a social media manager for 2 food vegan businesses in Amsterdam, and I've witnessed firsthand the whispers of investors saying, "Don't put vegan on the name.
Yeah.
No one's gonna come." Yeah. Have you seen this in real-time practice? That if maybe food business in general, like if you just don't put vegan on the sign, then more people will come. Is this true, or is this just bullshit from investors?
Brilliant question. And we've actually done 3 separate podcasts talking about this topic. So do go Vegan Business Tribe podcast. Search we can't search the word vegan, you'll find every single episode. if you take a look through about when we've talked about vegan versus plant-based, for instance. So yes, the statistics prove overwhelmingly that if you put plant-based on a food product instead of vegan, more people are going to buy that product. And you might think, well, that's brilliant. But what that also does is it separates the ethics of what that person is buying. So we see a lot of problem with veganism, of people rolling back from veganism, where they turn vegan because it's trendy, because celebrities are doing it, but they never make that ethical connection with the wider movement. That's partially why. We're getting people to move to plant-based, which is a dietary choice, not vegan, which is an ethical choice. And so that's a real big problem. And it's about kind of leveling that playing field. The only way you can beat a big brand is on your ethics. And so I'm quite worried that in the movement, there is so much advice. And again, going back to my slide of saying, traditional business advisors, they don't align with the vegan movement. And I'm worried that there's so much advice to say, don't put that word vegan on the packet, because that's the one thing that the Unilevers and the Burger Kings and everybody else can't fight us on. They can't say, I'm going to sell you my plant-based burger on my vegan ethics, if they're also making meat burgers as well. So yes, in the short term, you will definitely sell more products, but then you are giving up the one thing, your one point of difference that you can fight the larger corporations on. So thank you. So my advice actually is, at the moment, don't. Because we don't want people to eat plant-based products. Well, we do. We want people to engage with the animal ethics of not eating animals. So yeah, but brilliant question. And again, because my view has changed on this over the last 4 years, I keep coming back and recording new podcasts. So the early podcast, I'll be like, yeah, call it plant-based because you'll sell more. And the latest podcast, I'm saying, if you do, we're going to lose out in the long term. So yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I knew the questions were going to be this good, I'd left longer for questions.
Yeah, we've had great questions, and we're actually at the end of the time for this session, so we're going to end here. Let's give David another hand for his presentation.
Thank you so much.